Hi, I'm Andy Carrero. Today we're going to be taking a look at user agents, which will allow us to create user-defined automated messages to populate and send out information to our students. So let's get started. So you've got your course up and running, and students are logging in, and some aren't logging in, some are handing in assignments, and others are not handing in assignments. Basically, you've got all these things to manage in terms of communicating with students. And a lot of the times they're just simple emails or messages you want to send off to kids to say, hey, you're missing 3 assignments, the last 3 assignments, or hey, you haven't logged in the past 3 days. And doing that one off for one kid or 2 kids is fine. But with online learning, it's really easy to slip up and start to let things slide. And especially if you're a student, that can add up really quickly. What that equates to is a whole heck of a lot of work on the part of the teacher, having to click through each one of their emails and sending them information. But D2L has got a neat little feature called user agents, which will allow us to be able to automate some of that workflow, making it a little bit easier on us to manage. So we're going to get started with that. So I'm going to open up my browser and I'm going to load up the one of my courses. And I'm going to go over to, I'm going to pull down the menu and I'm going to go down to my class progress. And from there, what's going to happen is you're going to see all your students and the progress that they've made so far in your course. Now, you're going to be able to tell how many logins they've had and how much content they've completed. And if you click through each one of these students, you can drill down to some other details. But in terms of automating some of their logins, for example, like this student here has 27 logins, but unfortunately, his last login was on the 21st. So I might want to send him a message saying that he hasn't logged in a while. But to do that for numerous students, it does become a bit of a pain. So I'm going to click over here to use agents to automate my feedback. And what that's going to do is it's going to pull up an agent list where I can maybe have some pre-populated definitions of automated responses that I want to have done. So I don't have any right now, so I'm going to create a new one, and I'm going to label this new one. I'm going to call this one, no login. In 3 days. All right, because I'm going to want to create one where it said D2L automatically sends a message to my students if they haven't logged in or signed in to my course in 3 days. So I want to make sure that the agent is enabled. Now, if I want, I can give it a little bit of a longer description here. I'm not going to do that right now. I'd like the criteria to be visible to the entire class list. So all students that are in the class list, I want this specific too. And I'm going to do course activity. There's login activity and then there's course activity. All right. So I'm going to do course activity because they might be logging into another teacher's class, but not necessarily logging into mine. And I want this specific to my course. So I'm going to say course activity, and it's going to say user has not accessed course for at least 3 days, or user has accessed course in the past X amount of days. So I'm going to put down here, user has not accessed course for at least 3 days, because I don't want more than 3 days to expire before giving them a notice. I can also set other release conditions here, so it doesn't necessarily have to be course activity. I can create other conditions. So, for example, I can create conditions for competencies, for content being visited, for submissions to a certain folder, and the like. You can play around with that when you get a chance. I'm just going to close this up because this one's just going to be one for students not logging in. Under actions, I'd like this action to take place more than just once. If you click on it's automatically selected. It will only run one time per student, but I want it to run every time that they miss 3 consecutive days in a row. So if they haven't logged in the past 3 days, and they continue not to log in the past 3 days, they'll keep on receiving emails. So I want them to send them an email. So I'm going to click on send email, and I have to specify who this goes out to. So the way to do that is you need to select who it's going to go to. Now that's going to change because it's going to be to more than one student. So you'll click on this button over here, and it'll give us this dialog box here, which tells us that we can put in this string here, and I'm going to copy and paste this right there. And what that's going to do is whoever's generating the action, it's going to put in their user information there. So it's going to send the email to that user. So whichever student, so let's say student A is the initiating user, while student A, he hasn't logged in 3 days, he's going to be the initiating user. Now in the subject line, I'm just going to put down course access. No access in the past 3 days. And I'm just going to put, you can put your course code in there, whatever you like. And then I'll enter in my message. Now, in my message, I want to tell the student, so I can use those details there as well. So I'm going to use the initiating username. And so this is going to say hello and the user's first name. So hello, ABC student. The last time you've accessed the course was on such and such date. Please visit the course and make contact with your teacher as soon as you receive this message. Right? And I'm also going to say that's also suggested that they visit the course content when they visit. For a list of a whole bunch of variables that you can put in here, just click on this button right here, and it'll bring up this dialog box where you can see all the variables that you can place in there that will change as data changes in the course. You can also add an attachment to these emails if you like. If you have something specific you'd like to send them, notice when you do something here, when you attach a file, that file will always be the same. File. Under scheduling, I'm going to hit schedule, and I'm going to update schedule because I want this to run in a specific way. So I'd like it to run. I can have this repeat daily, weekly, annually. So I do want it to repeat every day. So I'm going to do this. I want it to repeat daily, but I want it to do every 2 days. Okay. Actually, I'm going to change that. I want it to do every 3 days. Right? And then I'll select the start date, so when it starts. And then I'm going to select the end date of my course. And I'm going to hit update. And now it'll run, and every 3 days, and it'll send my students, whoever hasn't accessed the course in 3 days, every third day they'll receive this message if they haven't accessed the course in 3 days. I'm going to hit save and close. And that's it. It is done. You can hit apply. And it'll give you the next run date. We are all good. So that's how we automate an email out to a student who hasn't been around for the past 3 days. Now you can see that there are a whole bunch of uses for this. One thing to note though is that in the email fields where you specify users' emails that messages can be sent out to, you can send them to anybody within the D2L platform. However, currently you can't send that out to an outside email. So let's say someone else that doesn't have a D2L email. So those emails need to be confined to the platform. Just a quick note there. All right. So I hope you found this little tutorial helpful, and I hope it eases up some of your workflow. So I'd like you to stay healthy, and we'll see you later. Take care.